Okay, so welcome to this class where this is our guest expert call. And I'm super excited for today's guest expert because I've been working Abby now closely with her for about 8 months, 6 months.
I think like 8, yeah.
Somewhere we started working together officially last summer. We kind of were working together more than that though, because Abby was like the VA for the VA that I had hired. So Abby was really she's really she's been working with me for a while now. And I love Abby to death. Abby, I know you guys have heard me talk about her in the Voxer group, but anytime that I need to get anything done or need to get my brain organized, I come to Abby and she lays it all out for me. She gets things done. She's so good at the details and just making sure things get executed. And that's talking both on like business side of things, like with personal business projects, like with the sleepover thing we have going on, or when we're trying to grow, those types of things, but also with client projects and keeping those organized and streamlined and things like that. She's just really good at that and has such a huge strength in that area. And I know I saw me and Abby were actually talking at the beginning with some of the questions were coming through. Abby was like, "Oh, I can help with these." I was like, "Yeah, you can. So let's bring you in with some of the questions that were coming through at the first Q&A session." So Abby has, I'm going to let her introduce herself, but she has a little something prepared, and then we're going to go to the questions at the end that were already submitted, and then we can open up to other questions, follow-up questions, things like that. But if you have questions or questions why we're going, comments, things like that, always put them in the chat and stuff too. But very happy to have you guys all here. See your faces after the new year. Okay, Abby, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, awesome. Well, hello everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me figure out how to do that real quick here. Oops. Carly, can you enable it so I can share?
Yes, sorry, I always do this. Okay, really quick. Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let me jump on here. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, cool. I don't know if you're going to see my notes off to the side, depending on how this shares through Zoom. Okay, everybody, can you guys see everything on here? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, cool. Well, I'm Abby, and I am super excited to be here today. Like Carly said, we've been working together for quite some time. And as some of your questions came in like early on in the applications and through the question and answer forms, I was like, wow, I can really help. So I would love to come on and talk with you guys. So I am excited to be here. So a little background about me. Let me minimize this on the side here. Okay, so my official role is OBM and project manager, and then I also do Pinterest strategy. So with Carly, I am her project manager. I'm a retired teacher. So I stopped teaching at the end of last school year and dove full-time into, I started as a VA and then quickly realized that I was offering and doing way more than a VA does. So got into a certification program to become an OBM and offer OBM services as well as project management services. So I left the teaching world to be home with my son. And just to preface this, if I sound like I'm out of breath, it's because I'm almost 36 weeks pregnant. So I run out of breath really quickly. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I actually started my first business when I was, gosh, I think I was like 10. I always love to share this story. I started like a handmade jewelry business. And then eventually I did that all the way through college. And then I started doing photography. I dabbled a little bit in life coaching. And then, yeah, it just kind of came down to pulling all of my passions together and my skill set. And now I help other people in their businesses with project management and helping them scale and break things down. A lot of times creative entrepreneurs have lots of ideas and need help organizing that. And so that's my strength. My biggest strength is that. So that is how I got here. I am married. I've been married for 5 years and I have a 4-year-old son, and then we're having a daughter, like I said, in hopefully just a couple weeks. Hopefully we don't go too much longer. And I know Carly has you guys do a lot of different like strengths finders and personality tests. I know you guys are into that, and a lot of the work that you do is around mindset. So I thought I would share that I am an Enneagram 7 wing 6. Do you guys know your Enneagrams? Did you guys do that within the program?
It's coming up.
Okay.
It's I think 2 weeks from now, but I think most people in here have done Enneagram regardless, right?
Is anybody else an Enneagram 7? No.
8, close.
8, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's always interesting when I share with my clients that I'm a 7, because I have other clients who are 7s, and 7s typically have, just like most creative entrepreneurs, tons of ideas and struggle to organize them. But yeah, I guess I'm just really good at organizing them. So that's an interesting thing about me. So we are going to start with goal setting. I took the questions that you guys submitted and tried to put them into kind of like a logical order of like, where should we start to be able to even break down a project. So one of the questions that was submitted was how to break down a goal and keep yourself accountable. My background is in teaching, so I like interaction. So if you guys want to interact with me on this, you can just like give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. But if you feel this way, like if you struggle with breaking down a goal, just do like a thumbs up so I can see who would be someone that I'd be speaking with. Okay. Yep, for sure. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the first thing that I always think about when it comes to goal setting is, and this goes back to the mindset work that you guys have probably been working on with Carly too, but a lot of times our goals come from what other people are doing around us. And so we have to like bring it back to ourselves and ask like, why is this a goal that I'm pursuing? Does it align with the life that you're creating, right? And so sometimes it's really easy to get wrapped up in shiny object syndrome and looking around and seeing what others are doing around you or what your competitors are doing. And it instantly makes you think like, okay, I should be doing the same thing, or my business should be at the same spot because they're doing the same, their offerings are similar to mine. But if the goal doesn't align with the life you're trying to create for yourself, then you're probably not going to want to work towards that goal. So you might get into it, you might start breaking it down. But because it's not in alignment with what it is that you're actually trying to create for yourself, then it's harder to stick to it. So that's like my first thought on goal setting. You want to make sure that it is something that you actually want to do, right? Something that you're inspired to do, something that aligns with your business, something that aligns with the life you're creating. And so I'm going to share these, I'll show you these resources, but then I'm also going to share them with you like when we upload this into Teachable. These are some resources. Whoops. Yep, there we go. Some resources to share. One of the things that I created is, it's just like a quick little PDF, 10 powerful self-coaching questions around goals. So this is something that I always like to go through when I am setting up goals for myself, and go through and reflect. So like, what am I trying to achieve? Does it align with my greater purpose? So I know it sounds kind of silly to like, you might be thinking like, oh gosh, it's just a goal. But when your goals really truly don't align with your life and what you're trying to do with the lifestyle that you're trying to create, then like I said, it's going to be much harder to achieve. So this is something that I'll share with you. And then the other thing I was going to share with you is, see if it'll go back. Here we go. What happened here? Hold on. Sorry. I'll just click it from here. Sorry, I'm used to presenting in Google, not in Canva. Okay. The other thing I wanted to share with you too, and we'll send this to you as an upload in the Teachable, is a goal setting workbook. I think you guys have probably goal setting workbooks with Carly stuff too. I feel like that was part of your workbook that you got, but here is also like just an additional thing that you can do. So if you scroll down in here, this kind of is I've pulled some of this from when I was doing some life coaching, because I feel like goals really go around like who we are as people and yeah, I just think it's really important to figure out what it is that we're trying to achieve before we start breaking into the projects and breaking them down. So in here, there's different things you can go through with positive affirmations. And then also down here is the goal setting part. So really defining your goals, figuring out on the outcome, what it is that you're trying to achieve. I'm sure you've all heard of SMART goals. So it kind of follows along with that. Thinking about what obstacles you might have, and then really asking yourself, like, okay, here's my goal. Let's say I want to launch a course, or let's say I want to book X amount of clients. We need to ask ourselves, why is it that I want that? So what is it? Why do I want that? And then why do I want that? So whatever I put in this box, why do I want that? And we really just want to ask ourselves these questions so we can figure out that I'm going to be spending all of this time and effort on this goal, and it does align with what I'm trying to create in my life, versus I want to make 10K this month, or I want to book 10 clients this month. And so understanding why you want to do that. So that is my first thought around goal setting. I don't know why this keeps doing this. Hold on, sorry. Okay. There we go. Okay. So then once you've figured out what it is that your goal is, what it is that you're trying to do, and it aligns with your business, with your lifestyle, then these are the three things that I say. So start with breaking down the tasks. So taking the goal, organizing it, and then utilizing a project management tool. So I always recommend starting with the end in mind. I'm sure you've heard that as well. So start with the end in mind. This is the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And then just start making a list of everything that you need to do to get to that goal. The list doesn't have to be organized. It can be a total like brain dump. So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, everybody write down one goal that you have for yourself for this quarter. Okay. And then the next piece of that is breaking that down into tasks. So you don't have to go through all of this now, but I just want you to have yourself set up so that later today or later this week, you can try to work on this process. So you have your goal, you're going to break it down into all of the tasks. Some people are more visual learners, so you can take like a stack of sticky notes and then write all of the tasks out and then try to sequence them. So like what would make sense as a starting point? And then you kind of get into a flow as you start looking at the tasks. It's like, okay, I know I need to do this first, then this has to happen before this, and start moving things around. If you don't like the idea of sticky notes, you can also just type up your list and then cut it apart, move it around, or just copy paste and move the tasks around until you feel like you have it in an order that makes sense for you. So that's kind of that organizing piece. And then the last piece of that is really putting it into the project management tool. So a lot of times when Carly and I jump on a call, I will be typing notes, everything that we're talking about, and then I do that process. So I don't usually use the sticky notes, but I just start moving things around in a sequential order, and then I pop them into a project management tool. Thumb up if you are using a project management tool like Asana or ClickUp or Monday. Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you guys prefer Asana, or what is everyone using? You guys can interact with me and talk to me.
I'm using HoneyBook and I love it. I've been using it for like 6 months now, and so I'm really getting into it.
Yeah. So how do you use it for all of your, like, do you put all of your tasks in there?
So I'm just kind of like really getting into using it like the last like, especially since I started this course, since I joined the 10K Girl Gang.
Yeah.
But I have been trying to I made a project for my own business so I could put tasks that I want to work on in HoneyBook.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's how you go about it. I know you guys use HoneyBook too, but like that was just like a way that I kind of figured out with it really quick, figured out to like do it in a way that was helpful for me. But like I definitely want some HoneyBook tips from you. And I sent like a really long bunch of questions to Carly like an hour before the call, unfortunately. Don't think I gave you enough time.
That's okay. I popped them in the end, so I'll talk about HoneyBook at the end with that too. But that's good to know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else use HoneyBook in that way, or do you use like Asana or ClickUp, or I don't know, there's a lot of different ones out there.
I'm hearing a lot in the comments about Notion and Asana, Maze Carbon, Asana.
Okay.
Sato. I know Jessica's huge into Dubsado. Trello. I have Trello, but I haven't used it.
Okay. Sorry, I just got off. There we go. Okay, cool. I don't have the comments up. I'm trying to figure out where to
No, so when you're presenting, you can't see the comments. You have to like pull it up in an additional window.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I'll be your comments moderator. Don't worry.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so anyway, so then you take all of your tasks and you put them into your project management tool to help you work towards that goal. Now, I would say that a lot of things around goal setting are more in the back end of your business, like like I said, like if you're trying to book a certain amount of clients, or if you're trying to launch a course or launch whatever. And we'll get more into like how to manage your client projects as we go on here with some of the questions. Does anybody have anything else about goal setting or questions about this or the process?
I know Hannah had a question about using multiple or different project management tools. She asked, and if you want to say this for her, let me know. But she has said you wouldn't use more than one project management. Wow, more than one project management tool, right?
Yeah, great question. So it depends on what you deem a project management tool. So I use HoneyBook, but I only use HoneyBook as a way to, I guess it is a project management tool in a sense. So I use it for like invoicing. I use it for setting up like automated inquiry responses and things like that. But when it comes to actually managing someone's project, I use something more. I actually use ClickUp. I was using Asana, but now I use ClickUp. And so those are the two things that I use together, only because I feel like HoneyBook has some great things about it. And I love HoneyBook, but also I feel like it's a little bit limiting in the sense of like the project management side of it. It's like the different tasks and setting them up. And especially if you want to have a team, or you have a team or a VA, I just feel like Asana or ClickUp or something like those works a little bit better to keep things on task. But I wouldn't use Asana and ClickUp and Monday. I wouldn't use all of those. I would just stick to one, depending on what you prefer. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So you use HoneyBook primarily for like managing like Carly's clients, and then you, for your own personal projects, you use ClickUp, right? That's what, and like your employees are.
Yeah. So like, and Carly, if she wants to, like I have her added on her ClickUp. So like on her project in her workspace, she's added in there so she can see everything. So if it's something, and it's different for everybody, right? So like, because I'm more of a project manager versus like you're probably working on design with your clients, your client may not need to be in that space. It depends. So like, I guess, let me back up. How do you generally communicate like project timeline with your client?
I've been using HoneyBook for like literally everything.
Right.
But I've only been using it for like 6 months. But and so like the last 3 months I was like, oh, like I really feel like I got HoneyBook like a little better. So I really have been loving it. But I don't really use it that well for my own project but like even though I made a little area in there to manage my own project, like I put like internal project Honey Designs, like just my main business, and then I throw some tasks in there, but I really don't use it. I end up just kind of journaling and like writing things down on random notes, and like I don't have a actual management tool for my own business.
Yeah, that's totally where I would see Asana or ClickUp coming into play for you. Because yes, so like HoneyBook is great for like sending invoices and sending emails to your clients and keeping things in one space, like within their project. But when it comes to, let's say like so like with Carly, like her brand strategy, like the whole process, right? So she would have that as like, inside her Asana or ClickUp, she could have like master templates of like, this is all of the things that we do within this package. And then you apply it to the client. Or if you have like some sort of back end project like you're talking about, you apply it to your own project, and you can create a space where you can add all of your tasks in, and then manage it that way. You can set up due dates for yourself. That way you're not having like a million sticky notes all over your desk or all over your wall, or like 5 different journals with all of your all of your ideas. You can keep them more in one space, which makes it easier to manage, and it makes it easier to actually get things done. Because I feel like when we have things all over the place, our sticky notes aren't going to tell us like, ding, this was due today, right? Whereas like a project management tool, like if you set up a date for yourself, it's going to say, this is what's due for you today, or this is, these are the things to work on. And so one of the things that I love about it is when I go to start my workday, I just hop into my ClickUp. And before I was using Asana, so I'd hop into Asana and like it would tell me what do I need to do today, because I had already put it in there. Like these are the things that I need to do after I have a strategy call or after I get a new client and I have like a certain onboarding process. Then those are the things I need to focus on, and it helps me have better time management for one, and then also like actually keep myself accountable to make sure that I'm working towards my goal, whether it's a back end business thing or if it's a client management thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Do you have any other questions around that? That's a great question.
Yeah, somebody asked in the comments, and now I'm kind of curious too, why you switched from Asana to ClickUp. And since I'm about to jump onto one like after this, I want to know why too.
Yeah, great question. I think that they're both great. I just personally feel like ClickUp is more, it just has like more features. I think it's visually more appealing to me as well. I don't know, that may not matter to some people, but for me it does. And I just felt like it had more features than Asana did. And I think the paid version is also less expensive. Like there's a free version and a lot of people use the free version, but I wanted some more of the features. And then also the other thing was I know Asana, there's like lots of different templates, but I found specific templates that worked for my business that I wanted to purchase to use, and they were for ClickUp. And so I was like, I'm just going to switch over before I'm like super committed into Asana. So yeah, I mean, they work very similarly though. So it's kind of like a personal preference. Okay.
That helps.
Yeah.
A good question. I have a question too. I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, whatever Abby prefers.
Yeah. Okay. And you guys can feel free to like unmute yourselves and ask me. Like I'm super casual. You can just, if you have questions, just ask me. Okay. So I think this was the next, let me go back one. Okay. The next question submitted was this one. So do you have any tips for overwhelm with projects and project management? Yes. These are the 3 big things that I would say. So systemize, automate, and organize. I would say that any type of offering that you have within your business, you want to make systems for. So if you have branding clients, or I guess if someone wants to just unmute themselves and just like throw out some of the different things that you offer within your business so I can speak directly at you, like branding packages or website packages.
Hey, Abby, wait, sorry. I just am seeing a presenter window box.
Oh.
Yeah, me too.
Just want to make sure we can see it. Same. Okay, I just want to make sure before you got too deep into it that.
Hold on. Can you guys see? You can't see the sharing is paused. Hold on. Bring your shared window to the front. My shared window is to the front. Well, this is new. You guys still don't see it?
Oh, wait. I just saw your mouse. Now we're kind of seeing it. But we still see like a presenter window pop up.
This is so weird. Okay.
This window is just for you. I mean, we can still kind of read what's behind it.
Happening. Can you see it now or no?
Yeah. So
do you guys just see the slide, or what do you see?
We see the presenter thing.
This is so weird. I'm sorry, you guys. Canva is.
You're totally fine. I'm fine with it.
Next time I'll download this and put it into Google Slides. I feel like that's so much easier. Okay, now do you guys see it?
Yes. Well,
okay.
Wait. Sorry, no, there's the window popped up again.
Oh my gosh, this is so.
Maybe if you click the don't show this message.
Oh yeah, don't show this message again.
Okay, don't show this message
I didn't
again.
even see that. There we go.
Do you just see a slide or do you see the whole presenter window?
We see the
Whole presenter window.
It's
We're
okay.
just gonna go with it. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what's happening.
Sorry, I interrupted someone who was about to say what they offered.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I actually asked this in the question, and so I'm not sure you might cover it, but and feel free to interrupt me. I feel like I'm hogging all the questions, everyone. No. But so I just like really finished like figuring out all my packages and like how I want them to go, and I feel super confident and happy about them, and I'm super stoked about them. But I haven't made a workflow for anything. I just have like the kind of the template one that Carly sent us in the brand mapping method, but I want to like make it my own. So would you recommend making a separate workflow for each package of the 3?
Yes, that is a great question. And I'm about to get to that, but yes, the short answer to that is yes, definitely. Yep. Yeah. Let me kind of talk about this and then I will talk about that. I think that's like the next thing. So the 3 things, so having any tips on overwhelmed project management would be systemize, automate, and outsource. So systemizing anything that's repeatable inside your business. So if you have packages, like your key offerings, like you should have a system around each of those. If you have like back-end systems of your business, which I mean, everyone does, like how to respond to an inquiry, how to send a proposal, like all of that, you should create systems around. And how many of you have a team member or a VA or like somebody underneath you on your team? Okay. So it looks like maybe just one of us, 2 of us, Carly.
Okay. I like did, and then now I was just outsourcing on Upwork. I had a lot of questions about that too, but yeah, you'll get to that probably.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yep. Okay, so the reason why I say this, even if you don't have someone on your team yet, I always say start doing all of this stuff now, because when you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I really need to outsource, you're not going to want to backtrack and create all of this. You're going to be thinking about like, I've got all of these people knocking on my door to book my services, and now I need to pause, or I don't feel confident in saying yes or booking them because I know that I can't do it all by myself. And I don't have systems in place to train someone yet. So I would always suggest starting right away with this. So creating workflows, you can literally just make like a Google Drive folder and put all of your packages in there, or put all of your different processes in there, and just start writing out the workflow. Like, what does it look like? And then you take those workflows and you create standard operating procedures, SOPs, which sound scary. They may sound scary. Some of you may have them already. But really it's just like documenting what the process is. So let's say you have a brand strategy package. And then within that workflow that you've created, you're going to have all of these different tasks that happen within that package, right? So like, these are all of the different things you do. And then you need to break down each of those tasks into some sort of procedure, so that you know that if you're about ready to outsource it to somebody, then they're going to know what to do because you already have it documented. Or it can also help you see like different areas in your business where you can automate. So once you have all of your pieces systemized, which don't freak out, you don't have to do it all at one time because that would be really overwhelming. But I would suggest that like, if you're focusing on one main offering, or you notice that you're continuously like repeatedly doing, like manually sending an inquiry or something like that, like the things that you feel like are taking up a lot of your time, start with those, start systemizing those, start writing down the process of what it is, and then automate what you can. So I know we talked a lot about Honeybook, and Honeybook is great for some of those automations because you can like have different project types and people can inquire about something, and then you can have it automatically send them a response with whatever next steps you want them to do. So whether it's book a discovery call, whether it's look at like a pricing brochure, whether it's fill out like a pre-questionnaire before you would even jump on a call with them, it's totally up to you. But then you don't have to think about it. Like, you don't have to be sitting there watching your inbox or wake up the next morning and be overwhelmed by inquiries in your inbox and having to respond to them all. Like, you just have a process for people to do the next step without you having to think about it. Does anybody have any automations like that set up? Just thumb up if you do.
Can I say something really quick, Abby, too?
Yeah.
So this stuff that I was talking about, like when I was setting this up for my business, all the automation, not the automations, really, I feel like Abby's really helped me with that. But the SOPs, is that the word I'm trying to use? The SOPs, those were done way before a VA or anyone was hired. And it sounds like a lot of work, but like Abby said, like I just did them as they happened. And so like, if I was trying to add someone into an email, I'd just record a Loom video of myself really quick and then add it into a Google document and just have that be the SOP. And then I have like a list on Google Keep of like all the SOPs that I need to still create for myself. Like I still have things that I need to record myself doing. And so I know the next time I go and do that, I'm going to just record myself. So, Amanda said, let's see, I have noticed that listing out every tiny step does help so much with the mentality because overwhelm tends to come from the feeling like it's too much and I don't have to see an end in sight, and having a check off tasks and clear tasks to complete helps use that for sure. Oh yeah, definitely. You don't feel like you're missing something.
Absolutely. Awesome. And then outsource. So I know that there were some questions and we're going to get to that about outsourcing, but once you have your systems and automations in place, then you can bring on someone to help you make sure that your projects are getting done. Someone who can help implement certain processes and systems and the action steps, like the things that you don't want to do, to have to do, the things that are like a time suck for you. The other thing too is, as an OBM, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's an online business manager. So with Carly, I do project management, whereas with some of my other clients, I do online business management. And so you can hire in help to like set some of these things up for yourself too. Like if you're already feeling like overflowed with your clients, you can always, there's always people out there that are willing to come in and help you like set up the SOPs and set up that kind of stuff within your business. One of my clients right now, that's what we're currently working on, is setting up all of her workflows. So we went through and created all of her workflows. And then now we're going in and setting up literally for every task, an SOP. So as she's getting ready to outsource more in her business, all of that will be set up for the onboarding process for her clients. So just so you know, that is always an option out there too. Okay, the next question, when to outsource? When you feel like you're spending too much time on the things that you don't love doing. Is anybody there yet? Yeah, I see some of us shaking our heads. Yeah. Yep, for sure. Okay, and then when you feel like you're ready to start scaling, but you know that you cannot do it alone. And then when you're asking the question, should I start outsourcing? That should be like a telltale for you. So one of the things I always like to talk about is it looks, you know, we all know that social media is like a highlight reel for people, right? And it's easy to get like stuck into like a comparison, like, wow, this person's doing the same thing as me, but they're so much further along than me, or they seem like they're so much further along than me. A lot of people have teams. Like most people are not doing this alone, and if they are, they're probably not super happy. So I always think and always recommend outsourcing, because it's going to create more freedom in your life, and also like just allow you to do more of the things that you love within your business, and give you space to like visualize about, you know, maybe the next project or the next thing that you want to do inside your business. So I think that outsourcing, as soon as you start asking, should I start outsourcing, is the best way to do that. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. You don't have to start with a project manager. You could start with a VA. You could try Upwork. There's no like right or wrong answer to outsourcing. Just start. That's what I like to say. Just start doing it. And you'll notice that you'll feel a lot more freedom in your business. And I think that's what a lot of us are looking for. Let me go to the next slide here. Okay, someone had asked if you should wait to outsource until you have a certain amount of clients. Like I said, starting as soon as you can is the best way to go. So starting, as soon as you feel like you can bring someone on to do some of those smaller tasks. So maybe it's like sending inquiries or popping into your inbox and managing that. Let someone like a VA come in and do that for you.
I see something to that one too, Abby.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel like one of the big mistakes I feel like I made in my business is not hiring soon enough. It's always the thing that like I feel like I'm dragging my feet to do, and it feels scary because then you're like accountable to someone. Um, but it is, I think, a thing that too often people do too late rather than too early. I think you'll find yourself, it's hard to, when you're like feeling that feeling of like, maybe I should hire, you should probably hire.
Mhm.
Like more often than not, you're hitting on the mark and you're not going to be too early. You are more in danger of being too late, if that makes sense. So that's just my experience. And as I've taught other people, I think 9 times out of 10, that's what most people, I don't have yet to meet someone. I know it has happened, but I've yet to meet someone personally where I'm like, oh, you hired too soon. That was too soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like it does, yeah, it can feel scary to hire someone, and especially like, I don't know if some of you are at the point where it's like, well, should I spend money on that or not? I think that outsourcing in your business allows you to create more income in your business, honestly, because it's freeing up your time to do the things like, I don't know, just things that you don't have time to do right now because you're constantly doing the little tasks that someone else could be helping you do. So yeah, I totally agree with what Carly said. Okay, should I prioritize getting a babysitter before hiring? Great question. I have a child, so I know how this goes. But again, you have to ask yourself, does this feel like a choice, or does this choice feel aligned to the life that you're trying to create? I always come back to this question in my own life because part of the reason why I left teaching and pursued, my business, starting my business, was because I wanted to have more flexibility. I wanted to be home with my kiddo. And so, yes, I do have a babysitter for a certain amount of time, but it just kind of depends. Like, so I kind of went through this too, just not that long ago. And I decided to bring someone on my team because it just felt better to have someone else doing some of the things that I know that I didn't really need to be spending my time on and would give me more time to be with my son. So again, it's totally up to how you, whatever kind of life you're trying to create. So, and there's no right or wrong way. Like if you love to do your work and you're like, I have enough time with my children and you want a babysitter, go for it. Like there's no shame in that at all. So yeah, totally up to you. Either way, you're going to be spending money. So how do you want to spend it and how do you want to spend your time? Just kind of, you just have to kind of weigh like what feels best to you.
Something I would consider too is if you're hiring a babysitter or if you're hiring, because I didn't hire a babysitter and I only had her for 3. I got to hire probably another one soon in the next few weeks actually because Leiden's starting his master's back up again. But that was the first time I ever hired a babysitter. It was when my husband started his master's. And the kind of same thing with Abby, or I didn't want to hire a babysitter. I should have hired one sooner again because I was like, I did this so I could stay at home with my kids. But something to consider too in doing that is like, if I, what's going to be more important, giving myself 3 hours of time, or should I hire someone else to do a task in 1 hour that I could do in 3 hours? Do you know what I mean? Like that they are way more qualified. Should I hire someone to do a task that they're way more qualified to do than I am qualified to do? Like if you're hiring a babysitter to do a task that is, you could hire someone else to do way quicker and you can make way more money. Do you know what I mean? I think you gotta like weigh that out. But that being said, a babysitter is one of the cheapest hires you can make. It doesn't get much cheaper than a babysitter. And so it's not a bad hire to go with. Kind of speaking of hires too, well, I don't know if I don't want to derail us. I kind of had a specific question about hiring, but we'll talk about it at the end. We'll answer at the end.
Okay. Hold on to it so we don't forget it. Okay. Yeah. The other thing too around that is like for me, I know that like getting into my creative space and like working in my business, I like to do it. And so yeah, sometimes it is worth hiring the babysitter because then I feel like I'm a better mom because I've done something that I really enjoy and like had some space from my kiddo. And so yeah, you just kind of have to weigh like what is best for you. Someone had asked, what are your thoughts on internships? So I think internships can be totally beneficial. They can create an impact not only on your business, but on other people who want to become designers or VAs or whatever it is that you're offering. But I don't think it's a replacement for outsourcing or having someone consistent in your business, because if you bring on an intern, they're not long-term. And so you're going to be constantly having turnover, and you're going to want someone to manage that, because it's just it becomes another thing for you to manage. It's taking more of your time. Like, you're going to be managing the person, you're going to be training that person. Even if you have like systems in place for onboarding and videos for everything and SOPs for everything, you're still going to be, it's an internship. So they're going to want you to be hands-on, right? And so I would say that, yes, it's a good idea, but also you would want someone on your team who's going to be managing that for you, probably. Because again, it would take up some of your time that you're probably looking to get back. So I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or has anybody tried having an intern before?
I was hiring one. Go on. Sorry. Okay, I was just saying that I was hiring for one. But I don't know. Like, I have been going back and forth like with it after doing the interviews and stuff, if I really want to do it or not. So
what are some of your hesitations after interviewing?
I think the same thing is like, man, I would love to like get an intern, see that, because that's like my biggest struggle is like bringing someone on and then not, for lack of a better word, not liking them, I guess, and not liking how it's working out or if it's a good fit. So I was thinking like if I do an internship, it'd be 3 months, and then, from there I could bring them on more permanently, but it's still just so iffy. I don't know. I've been going back and forth with myself.
Yeah. And are you thinking of doing like a paid internship, or just an
Yeah.
internship where someone's getting experience?
It would be paid.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it could be beneficial, but also, like I said, like if it's an internship, they're going to be looking to you to learn. And so that does take up a lot of time. Yeah. Versus hiring someone or outsourcing a certain task to someone who is already like well-versed in what it is that you're trying to get done. But even if you hire like a VA or a project manager, you could have the same experience. Like, you may not click with the first one. So, I mean, this sounds like a little harsh, but like being quick to hire someone, being quick to hire and getting help, but also like if it's not working out, being quick to like make a change. Yeah. So that you're not like feeling resentment towards that person or feeling resentment in your business, and finding the right people for your team.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions around internships or thoughts around internships?
I had an intern for a while and I had 2 interns for a while and they were great, but it's just hard. It was a lot of work, more work than I thought it was.
Did you find you were spending a lot of time like teaching them and like having to help? I mean, that's kind of the point of an intern. Like, an internship is for someone to learn, but.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, I mean, I got stuff done through them, but it wasn't like to the quality that I wanted, just because it takes a while to onboard people and get them familiar with your business. And then the trade-off of, I'm giving you coaching or talking with you and teaching you, and the trade-off just wasn't quite there for me, at least. And so it was a little, and I was paying them, so it just wasn't quite there for me.
Yeah. Yep, totally can understand that.
I just have one other thing actually to add in about interns. This is, sorry, I don't have my camera on, but I do social media and strategy, and I've gone through a handful of interns, some not great, and took a lot of extra time to coach. But I would say, like, if you're handing off, so like I have my intern do community management and simple stuff that I have to teach one time, or I have like a written up doc where I send it to her. She knows the rules and I can really pass it off to her. So I'd say like interns, like Jessica, if you're having her do like simple tasks like that, or like email, or even if it's just like helping you get organized, they might be great. if they're like an organized person. I've just realized that with some of my interns versus when I would put them in charge of content, they're not delivering what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and it was going to be for content. Like, I need help with social media. So I don't know, it might just
Yeah.
be too much. But thank you. I appreciate that insight.
Yeah, that's a great conversation. I mean, and it's always, I mean, you could always try it. And then if it doesn't work out, then you know, for the next time that you might outsource in a different way. Okay, next question. Tips for project management for the procrastinator. Outsource. So have someone on your team, like once you have those things in place, having a project manager or a VA or somebody who can make sure that the pieces are flowing, and making, like, holding you accountable, like talking to you, like, okay, I need this, or, so-and-so needs this, or this is the next step. Just making sure that things are happening. I also think that filling in the gaps in your business with people who have strengths where you might not thrive as much. So, like, I don't know if you guys have taken the Strengths Finder, or I know you're going to be talking about the Enneagram, but if you're someone who is like a visionary, right? Like you have like great ideas, but maybe you're not so great at like filling in the small details or like implementing them, then find someone who is really good at that. So looking for people who have strengths in the areas that that you just may not be your favorite thing to do, and then fill in those gaps in your business. Also, setting realistic timelines and goals for yourself. Knowing yourself is a huge part of that. So if you know that you're a procrastinator, set realistic timelines and goals for yourself, and then setting up rewards for yourself for completing tasks on your project. I believe in rewarding yourself. So that is something that I would do. So, if I get this certain thing done today, then I get X, Y, or Z, or like, I don't know, I go to the coffee shop or whatever it is you like to do, just like little things along the way to help you stay motivated. Okay. How do I know what I should outsource? This is probably one of my favorite things to talk to my clients about. But I call it the yes list. So making a yes list. And this is how you do that. So you'll write down a list of everything in your business that needs to get done on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And then organize those categories those lists into 2 different categories. So things that you want to do or feel like you're the only person in your business that can do those at this point, and things that are like on your no list, things that you would rather not do, but that they still have to get done. And then I would say plan to outsource all the things that are on your no list so you can focus on your yes list and then work in your zone of genius. So that's one of my starting points whenever I have a new client, especially with like online business management, is having my clients make their yes list. Like, what are the things that you dream of doing that are in alignment with the life that you're trying to create? Because obviously we're entrepreneurs for a reason, right? Maybe some of us are still working full-time jobs as well, but we know that we left, or I guess if maybe you weren't in the corporate world or whatever, like whatever job it was you had before, for a reason. And so we don't get into entrepreneurship to then have days filled with stuff that we don't love to do, right? And so I think having a yes list and trying to stick to that yes list as much as possible is key. And then that helps you to understand, like, what is it that I need to outsource? All of the things that I don't really want to do in my business that I feel like someone else could be doing in my business. So I highly recommend doing this at some point in the near future if you don't already have this in place in your life, if you don't already have a yes list for yourself. I would highly recommend writing it down and then like putting it up in your workspace. Has anybody tried that before? Has anybody done this exercise before? No. Okay. So it's a new one. Good. Awesome. Okay. Workflows. I think Hannah, you were asking about this, right? Okay. So how many workflows should I have? Like 1 million. I'm just kidding. It depends on how many packages and processes in your business you have. So definitely having workflows around like inquiry, booking, onboarding, project timelines, etc. And then workflows for each of your offerings. I feel like I kind of covered this a little bit already, but taking those workflows and then putting them into SOPs so that once you're ready to outsource, or if you are already outsourcing, people can help on your team. They're going to know what to do. They're going to know what to expect. So the very first step of this is, I guess, how many of you have laid out your packages and like written down your workflows for each of those packages that you offer? Has anybody done that? Somewhat, or maybe you've started. Yeah. Okay. So I see some of us shaking our heads no. Some of us, yeah. Okay. That's totally fine. But that's where I would start. So I would say create a Google folder for workflows, create a document for each offering that you have within your business. And then just type out your workflow. Like, what is it that you do? Like when someone books a strategy session with you, or when someone books a branding session with you, or whatever offerings you have, literally break it down step by step. This is what happens. They inquire. I send a response. This is, if they don't respond back to me within X amount of days, I follow up with them. If they don't book, then I add them to my lead tracker. I feel like everyone should have like a lead tracker spot, like whether that's a spreadsheet or inside your project management tool. If they do book, then what happens? Do you send a welcome email? Do you send a welcome gift? Do you send a welcome questionnaire? Like literally everything inside that workflow. Type it up for each of your offerings, and then you can take that and turn that into your SOPs so that you know what is happening inside each of those projects. Does anybody have questions around workflows or thoughts on that?
I kind of have a question that's sort of like workflow and sort of hiring out in one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you so if you have your work, so say you have all your workflow, well, okay, first of all, when you're making the workflow, do you make the workflow as you go through the process with someone? So say like I've done like quite a few packages, but like I really feel like now I have the packages like figured out the way I want them to be, but I'm still kind of figuring out the exact timeline, because the timeline's always been kind of loosey-goosey, because I'm just really getting the workflows put in place and saying like in the beginning, okay, this is the timeline, whereas before I didn't do that as much. And so do you make your workflow as you go through a project, or do you make it before you go through the project?
Yeah, so you can do it either way. I tend to make it before and then adjust as needed. That way because I feel like sometimes if I'm waiting to do it when I am also like going through a project with someone, then I'm not as focused. I'm like more just like, okay, just trying to get the project done. So I make sure that it's done. Whereas if you put your workflow, and it could be like a guesstimate, like you may not know the exact timing or how long it's going to take you, but what would be your ideal time? And then adjust as you go. Like if you're in the middle of a project and you're like, oh, this part of my workflow actually takes, a few days or a week or whatever, then you can just put that on your, my son's coming in. Honey, I'm on a meeting. You need to go. Me, go. Sorry, guys.
I want Panda Pop.
Go downstairs and tell your dad. Go.
He's got the mail.
Okay. So sorry. My 4-year-old just got home from school. Anyway, so yeah, I like to do it before, and then you can kind of make like a guesstimate about the time frame, and then you can always adjust as needed.
Okay. And then I had one more question that related to it all. So say you have everything set up and like all your workflows and everything. When you're hiring out, do you want to hire somebody that specializes in just one thing, like content creation? Or are you looking for somebody, like if you make your yes list and then you have like the things you don't want to do you want to hire like one person so would you go on Upwork and like hire like a few people for a bunch of different tasks because that's their specialty in that one thing? Or would you try to find one person that'll be with your business that can do a few more things and like be with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it depends on, so can you give me like an example? Like what is something in your business that you feel like you want to outsource?
So I tried outsourcing, like I tried hiring somebody to do the like my content, like my emails and social media and stuff. But then I was like, you know what, this isn't working. And I worked with them for like, I don't know, a couple months. And she was super nice and great, but like, it was just more like, I felt like I was losing my personal touch. And I was like, there's other things that I feel like maybe I should be outsourcing. But when I had done the list, I was like, oh, that's the first thing I should do. But then as I was going through, I was like, you know what, this doesn't make as much sense. I feel like I need somebody that maybe understands my business more and what I'm doing more. And so it
Right.
became like, but then I was like, but I also want them to be really good at like the thing they're doing. So
Yeah.
it was a hard thing to determine and like make happen. So then I ended up going on Upwork afterwards and just hiring a couple different people for like a couple small tasks. And that was so great and so simple and fast and easy. And it was like, I didn't have to worry about like making sure they had work consistently.
Right.
So, but I don't know, I feel like it'd be better to have someone more permanent. So I keep going back and forth between that.
Yeah, and I think it totally depends. I think you could utilize both. I could see like if you brought on a VA to your team, like if you're looking for someone to support in just like general things like admin, inquiry, like email, that kind of stuff. A lot of VAs can do like a lot of those things, but then you have those people who are specifically like social media or designers or copywriters. And so I could see if you don't need that more on a consistent basis, like you said, like you went to Upwork and had like a few things done. But if you're someone who's like, I know I want a designer under me, then I would say hire someone who's going to stick with you and grow with your business and learn your business versus like outsourcing just to Upwork. Because every time you might get someone different and they might not design the way that you want them to. So I think it depends on the type of task that you're having them do and I guess the end result goal that you have for that specific outsource. So I think you could do both. I don't know. I hope that is that helpful to you? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I would say having people that are consistent in your business is a great bonus. But if you feel like you're not going to have consistent work for that person, then going to Upwork for those smaller tasks would make sense for you.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm in a weird.
Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just like, I'm in a really weird spot where it's like, I had been doing projects, and this is super specific to me, so I hope I'm not taking a lot of time, but like I had a lot of projects where I was like, they were just small projects, and then like when I started this program, I started getting bigger projects really quickly, a lot faster than I expected, which I'm super stoked about. But I'm also like I'm still full-time home with our son, and so like I'm like trying to figure out how to get these things done and what to outsource, and like I'm like, am I even ready to do that, or should I wait? So like I don't know, that's not even a question, I'm just like throwing out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, those are great thoughts. I think that yes, you're ready to outsource. Like I can tell it by what you're telling me. Like you're definitely in a position where you need to outsource. And I think going back to that, making your yes list, like really sitting down and focusing on that and saying like, yes, these are the things that only I can do in my business. And no, these are the things I don't want to do. And someone else could probably help me do these things in my business. And then filling in the gaps with that. So like, if you sit down and you make that yes list and you are like, okay, these are the things that are on my no list. If you email the hello@Carliana, like email that, I can respond to you there because I'm in that inbox, and I can give you like some more advice. Like I'm really good at helping people see the gaps in their business and figure out, okay, like, well, these are the things you don't want to do. So these are the people that you might look for to hire in your business. So
okay, that's
feel free
super
to shoot me an
helpful.
email and I can help
Thank you.
Yeah.
I definitely will.
Yeah. Never for anyone.
Until you figure out, Hannah, what the next hire you want to make, I would suggest hiring a babysitter to help you figure out so you can give yourself some space, because sometimes you're like, I can't even think about what hire to make because I don't even have space to think about that. So hire a babysitter so you have that space to think. And then yeah, it does sound like you probably want someone you could, because you can do someone too, like first hires that I made, because I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna get, like, I'm getting big projects, but they're always gonna be big projects. You know, I had that fear mindset, but something that like really helped me was having people on my team who only got hired when I got hired, like help me with project stuff, and they would help me with execution. So like when I got a new client, it's like, okay, when I get this type of client, you know that you get paid this amount of money. You get hired when I get hired. And that way I wouldn't have to feel any stress. Like as soon as I got paid, they got paid. So I wouldn't have to feel like, oh my gosh, there's money coming. Where is this going to happen? And so like even like VA work or brand strategy help or design help or project manager for a client type of stuff, like you can all very much do that. I mean, with my first VA though, I did have to pay, I paid her like it was just, and that was actually one of it wasn't a family member, but it was a friend of a family member, and I just kind of trained her. She didn't know anything about the industry, but like she was a very type A person, very organized, very on top of things, and so I knew she would be good for the position. And so I trained her, and she had nothing to do with the industry, would never have normally applied for it, but she was a good fit and a good person for that job. And we kind of just grew her up until she like moved to Europe or whatever. Now she's in Europe, and then we had Anna, and now we have Abby. But that was like a really great starting position for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but that helped me knowing like I didn't have to have everything hired at once.
Yes, I love that. I just wrote that down. I love that.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of took over there for a second, Abby.
No, that's great. And that's such like a good point too, is like having people that come in for certain projects, but then still having that same, like if you can find someone, like Carly said, it's like, that's a consistent person and they know, and they're like, they know what they're signing up for when you hire them, that like she said, they get hired when you get hired. And so they're on that kind of, you communicate with them as you get hired, and they're not maybe necessarily someone who needs that monthly consistent, or they have enough in their business, where it's like, yes, we are agreeing to this. I think that that's an awesome way to be able to do that as you book more projects.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds there. It's like kind of consistent, but it's not as worrisome for you.
Yep. Love that. Okay, so these were two more of the questions that popped in kind of at the last minute. So I just threw them on a slide real quick. So how many clients to book at one time, and how do you determine? So this is a great question. I think this goes back to organizing your offerings, nailing down the timelines and the workflows of your offerings, and then deciding like how much time does it take me to do a client project? How much time do I have? And then figuring out like, okay, if I have this amount of time, and this is how much time it takes for these different offerings within my business. And then you kind of figure out, this is how many clients of this type I can have. This is how many clients of this type I can have. So I know when I started as a VA, it was hourly. So I looked at, okay, these are the amount of hours I can work per week based on when my kid's going to be at school or when he's going to have babysitter. And so then that's what I booked myself out to. Like, that's how I determined how many clients I could have. And then it switched as I've moved into online business management and project management, because it's not necessarily hourly based. But still figuring out the hours that you put in for like a design package or whatever it is that your offering is. So sometimes it's easier to just like get into the flow of your work and like not really pay attention to the time. But I think it's really important at some point to start timing yourself. Like, just how much time is it taking you to do a whole project? Just set like I don't know if you have like Toggle on your phone or whatever, just like start a timer every time you start working on someone's project. And you don't have to do it forever in your business, but just enough to get yourself to a point where it's like, okay, I know that this type of project takes me this many hours in total. And for each of your offerings within your business, so that you know that, one, you're charging the appropriate amount for your time, and two, that you know that you're not taking on too many people, or when you might need to outsource or add on another team member. So that's what I would say for how to determine that, determine your capacity. So it does take a little bit of work of kind of like backlogging and figuring out your workflows and all of that, but definitely worth it, so that you don't, so that this isn't like a stress point in your business. Like, oh, do I have space for this other client, or have I taken on too much? It just gives you like a clearer vision of what inside your business you have. And then HoneyBook, can you adjust workflows when they're already attached to projects? So Hannah, was this your question? Okay.
Yeah, I think I honestly asked like all of these questions.
Well, I hope this has been super helpful for you, Hannah.
super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So great question. Yes, you can, but then it's not going to apply it to the project it's already in. So that's like the downfall. This is why I use HoneyBook mostly for, yes, for like all my proposals and everything, but like the automation part and like the task part, the workflows, I guess, I typically just set those up for if someone inquires and then I want an automated response to go. I don't typically set up the workflows. I just feel like there's a lot of limitations within HoneyBook, within their workflows. so that's kind of where that other like I was talking about, that other project management tool would come into play, like within Asana or ClickUp or whatever, whatever you want to use. And then you have all of the tasks that happen within that workflow, like your tasks or whatever. You just have like a master list, and you can apply it to each project that you book. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. HoneyBook is a little bit limiting in that sense. I've tried to like set up workflows where it's like, oh, it sends this automated thing, and then 3 days later it'll follow up, but it might follow up even if the person had already responded to me. It doesn't do it like, it's not like, you can't set it where it's like only follow up if they've not responded to you. So there's just like a lot of limitations within that system. So yeah, that's how I use HoneyBook, and then my project management tool on the other side of that. Okay. Any other questions that did not get answered that anybody has?
There was a question in the group that I don't think got in there.
Okay.
And if anybody is, let me know. But Courtney asked, my question would be what are some good questions to ask when you're hiring a project manager?
That's a great question. It's a great question. It kind of depends on what kind of projects you have within your business. You might want them to be familiar with like design work. You may not want them to be. I would say, like, one, you're going to want to make sure that you have you drive with their personality. So just getting to know them as a person. Like whenever I get on a call with a potential client, and I'm sure a lot of you do this too, it's just like, do you drive with their personality at first? Just like, can you hit it off and have a conversation with them? Because if you can't, then it might be hard to work with them as someone on your team, like as a project manager or a VA or whatever you're hiring for. So do you drive with them, for one? And then questions would just be, I think, more like specific to what it is that you're looking for them to do. Like, do they have experience using the different, like if you're using HoneyBook or if you're using a project management tool, or can they set up a project management tool for you? Do they know how to create, like, can they take your workflow and put it into your project management tool? Do they know how to communicate with your clients? Like what experience do they have with client communication? I think it's just really specific to what it is that your offerings are. I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to interview someone. And I think everybody has like a unique, situation, depending on what it is that you're offering. But I feel like most project managers know the ins and outs of like, this is what project management is. Like, I'm going to help you make sure that things are on task. It's just training them in your own systems or having them help you set up those systems too, because sometimes you might not have those things in place. And so a lot of times project managers can be like, yep, I can get you in a project management tool. I can help create the templates that you're going to need. And then help you like with your timelines and stuff like that too. So I guess that probably wasn't like super insightful. I think it just kind of depends on the project that you're looking for to be managed, and what experience you may want them to have, or what you might want to know about them and their experience. Were there any other ones, Carly, that you saw in there that I didn't answer?
That was the only one. Did I miss anybody's question though? Does anybody else have any other follow-up questions for Abby? Good.
I have something quick.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know if this is kind of like out of scope for this meeting. If it is, no worries. Just let me know. But I guess I would ask, because I think I have so many mindset hesitations with hiring, and probably why I tried to go towards like a 3-month internship rather than hiring someone on. I guess my question would be, is there like a recommended percentage of revenue that we should expect to put towards our team? Just because, again, like I want to make a really good financial decision, and I don't want to overblow it. And I also know, like in the industry, right, like if you were to hire like a social media manager and such, like it does cost quite a bit. So I just kind of want to like hear if there's like a recommended percentage of how much we should allocate towards a team member.
Yeah, that's a great question. Carly, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I feel like as me as a service-based owner, like I know that, yeah, like you said, if you go into, the industry, like it does cost, like people, want to be paid what they're worth. But at the same time, yeah, like
Right.
I don't know if there's like recommended percentages to spend on your team, but I do know that um I mean, yeah, like I could tell you the like different range for different like help, like a general VA or whatever. But I don't know, maybe Carly, you have a better thought on
It's
this.
okay if this is not a question that's straightforward. I totally
Yeah,
understand.
that's a good question. I
That
had
is
to
true.
too. When I first started hanging around, I was like, at what point do I know I'm ready, or how much is too much to be investing? Because you could find someone who could do something for $20. You can also find someone who can do the same thing for $10,000. But obviously, you get what you pay for. Same thing with design. And so, how much is too much? How much is too little? I had that same. I still have. It's a hard question. So, my advice there. I don't know. There might be a statistic out there of like, this is how much you should be spending on team. I'm curious. I bet like there's a few people that I love that really they'll have like teams of like 10 and 15 that I bet have numbers on that. But what I like to do, because I kind of going back and forth with team, and there's a lot of other things that you can hire or invest in that are going to get you money in as well. I do know that when you are having a business, like if 50% of your revenue is going towards expenses, team, software, any taxes, whatever it is, that's a good percentage. Like even like I was just talking to my tax person before the winter break, and we were looking at percentages and stuff, and he was saying like the 50% threshold that we have, where it's like 50% is going to profit and 50% is going toward back into the business, like team, other expenses like that. He's like, that's an amazing percentage. Like most businesses will operate at a much higher percentage of like 80% is 80 or 90% of their the money that they make has got to go back into the business. And a lot of online businesses though can operate at like 50, 40, even 30%, though I think 30 to 50% I think is pretty reasonable for an online business. 60% if there's times too, like right now or next month we're going to be investing a lot more into like Facebook ads and things like that, and we're probably not going to see a return on that until like beginning of summer. And so it's like we're probably going to be stretching more to the 60 and 70%, but we're hoping to get back down to 50-40%, if that makes sense. And so that's kind of just as revenue things going into your business as a whole. Now team wise, how much should be going to team specifically? Again, that totally depends. I look at it more as like with Abby, I'm like 100%. Every time I pay her, I am so happy about paying her. It's the best thing ever, because I'm like, it's so worth it to me to have that space and that energy, and just to have someone who does what she does for me, because I suck at it. She does things in a quarter of the time that if I were to do it, it would take me way longer, and she does it way better. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, that's totally worth it. And when I was paying for Facebook ads and someone to do it, and like I'm going to be doing it again in the next month or two, totally worth it, because the return on an investment, like I was just talking to the Facebook ads person this morning, the return on investment is going to be, it's expensive, but like just to be clear, like it's $3,500 for just to hire someone to do Facebook ads plus ad spend. And so it's anywhere from like $5,000 to $10,000 a month. But like, what if we get, and likely, and our goal is to get like 3 times or 4 times and 5 times the amount of that back. And so it's like, that's worth it to me. Do you know what I mean? And so if things that you're hiring or buying or are going to give you a considerable money like back into your pocket, it's like, and that doesn't have to just be team. Again, it could be like a program like this. It could be like trying to think another software. Like I just hired like this accountant. It's like an accountant software / financial. It's like not really an accountant, but it is. It's kind of like a mix between actually hiring a financial advisor, bookkeeper, accountant person, and like having QuickBooks. It's like a mix in the middle. That's worth it to me because that takes me forever. So I don't know if that answers your question, but like basically what I'm trying to say is there's not a specific thing for team. I would say it's more about making sure you're within that 50 to 60% threshold of investing. The investment may be team, it may not be team, but I will say this, team is probably one of, not probably, but definitely one of the investments that will almost always give you, if you put in the right effort into it, you can get a huge return on team, like huge return. It's one of the best investments you could probably ever make into your business. So that was my very long spiel.
Thank you.
No, I love that. One of the things I've heard too, and I haven't read this, but I don't know if any of you have read or heard of The Profit First. It's a book.
Heard of it.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I'd call it like a business model, but Profit First is something that I know a lot of other entrepreneurs have read and use in their business as part of their model. So I would recommend reading that. It's something that's on my list to read.
Yes, I used to be in a mastermind with like 3 different accountants, and they were all like, you have to read, like, as we were asking many questions, they're like, read Profit First. And I never did. I just hired someone. But I read parts of it and the idea and synopsis and stuff, and it's cool. Yeah, I would recommend it. I think it helps making money decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the last thing I would say too about money is, I think it's easy to, in our businesses, like we pour so much of ourselves, like it's not just like our skills, but it's like our heart into our businesses. And we all, of course, like we don't just do it for the money, but like it is a way to provide for our families and for our lifestyle and for what we want. But the more that we like hold things like this, the less I think things grow. And the more that we open our hand and say like, okay, I need help and I'm willing to spend the money to get the help that I need, the more your business is going to grow. That's what I've found.
I completely agree. The scary decisions are always worth it. Maybe not all. I've made dumb decisions. I have, but like I learned a lot from it. But 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, I would even say very worth it. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Awesome. Does anybody that was a really good question, Jessica. Does anybody else have any other questions? No? That's okay if you don't. If you have any other questions, Abby is always in the inbox. hello@carliana.co. She's awesome and amazing. And always the Voxer chat is open, of course. But thank you guys so much. And thank you, Abby. This was such a good call and so good having you on. I'm so glad.
Thank you for having me.
You.
Thanks, Abby. I really got so much out of this. So I'm really, really stoked.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to say
I'm
that
glad.
before.
And what a cutie. Oh my goodness. Look at that smile.
Oh, this is Miles.
How cute.
Yeah, we got our sons featuring today, so that's nice.
So cute. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. Everyone's just saying thank you. He's so cute. Thanks, Abby. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.